Hi, welcome back to Talk of the Town. Alexandra Sharma and Iva Welton dropped by to share the upcoming Intimate and Revealing Watercolors by Alexandra Sharma art exhibit to be held at the Hilton Head Art League Gallery at the Art Center of Coastal Carolina, March 7th through April 1st. Welcome, ladies. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
So, Alexandra, the Art League of Hilton Head is featuring your art in March, and can you share the details of where and what will be on display?
All right, well, at the Hilton Head's Art League Gallery, which, as you said, is at the Art Center in Coastal Carolina, my watercolor paintings are going to be on display. They are specifically featuring Rose Hill Plantation House and Belfair Mansion. Belfair Mansion no longer exists, so essentially, even though I'm a plein air painter, meaning I paint outdoors, this is the first time I've ever really used photographs because these are things that don't exist anymore. So that is what's going to be on display.
Well, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful, especially if you live here and you don't even realize there are some areas that are, like you said, aren't here any longer.
And part of the history, too. So
Yes.
the history goes along with the pictures. So they're not just nice views of buildings or inside of buildings. There is also the history that goes along with them, and that's where Iva has been my rock as far as the history goes.
Yes,
Exactly.
I love it. So what was your inspiration for this exhibit?
Well, when I met Iva Welton at an art show, her daughter Kim was doing a jewelry exhibit along with me doing my watercolor paintings. Iva really liked my paintings and said, I have some amazing my archive photographs from Belfair and Rose Hill. I would love to see what you could do with those. So I was totally intrigued, and nothing happened for a little while, and then we met again, and Iva said, well, how about it? And I said, well, you know, give me some old
Give
photographs.
me something to work with.
Yes, and I turned it into a show, which I think is quite unique just because it is unique because they have never done anything that is the artwork and the history together. And so it's, again, as Iva will be able to tell you, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. So Iva, share a little bit of the historical significance of Alexandra's work on display.
Well, I think it's so exciting because the houses have never been painted. I mean, they don't exist anymore.
Right.
The scenes that she is painting do not exist. And it's such an important part of our low country heritage, our history. And I, of course, have done that history for over the years. And since 1981, when I started with Rose Hill and had it placed on the National Register. But when I saw Alexandra's work, I think it was placed over on Defusky Island. And I've never, ever thought, ever, about asking anyone to paint these scenes.
Right.
Never. But there was something about her, I just stopped in my tracks, and it really affected me. And I thought, oh, I'd love to see Alexandra paint some of the old sites that tell such an interesting story.
Yeah.
These houses have fascinating stories.
Yeah, oh, I bet. So Alexandra, tell us about your emphasis on watercolors and its impact for especially this exhibit.
Well, watercolors are what I take most of the time when I go out on site to paint because they allow me to be very intuitive with my work. I have a very sort of loose way of working, but in this case, I wanted to keep that looseness, but I need to stay true to the architectural detail. So I can do both. It doesn't have to be in oils at all. The watercolors allows that sort of transparency, which is also important for the history, because as Iva said, these scenes no longer exist. So there's something, the transparency and the see-throughness of watercolor is perfect for that because it does seem a little ephemeral, even though there could be strong colors, etc.
Sure, and Iva, quickly, because we'll be over pretty soon, but can you talk a little bit about the history presentation that's coming up?
Oh yes, I'm going to give a PowerPoint presentation on that Saturday, I believe the last Saturday of the show, to really talk about the houses and the history and the people. And they're fascinating people that came, wealthy Northerners came down here as far as Belfair is concerned and built, you know, mansions after the war. And the Rose Hill House is fascinating because it was built before the Civil War and sat 90 years unfinished.
Wow.
And so Alexandra has pictures
Yeah.
of different phases of the house that, of course, are long gone. But it's also the people and the stories that are
Yes.
very interesting.
And we will have all that information
Yeah.
on the screen so people know where to go,
All right.
as well as
Perfect.
your demonstration, your painting demonstration
Yeah.
on March 22nd.
Yes.
So thank you so much
All
for
right.
joining us today.
Thank you. This is our pleasure.
And we thank you so much for joining us on today's Talk of the Town.